Make48 is funded by
Stanley Black & Decker provides tools and services around the globe to help turn great ideas into reality and to help us shape the world we live in. We proudly support programming that inspires invention, innovation, and hard work. Together with Make48, we're providing men and women the tools and resources to build a better world. Stanley Black & Decker, for those who make the world.
On the last Make48, the presentational prototypes were completed.
We went to R&D prototypes and had them make a nice SLA.
That's beautiful.
What do you think of that?
Oh my gosh.
And the teams got the opportunity to get hands-on.
I like how rugged this feels, and I think if I was a consumer for this, I would want to know that I could recharge it.
With preliminary prototypes finished, it's time to turn the focus to marketing and launch.
My name's Roy Morjean. I'm the president and co-founder of Inventus Partners. We're a full-service turnkey product launch company. I love that there's two different versions of this product. It allows us to what we do called split test. So we can take potentially both products to market. We always like to test different use cases, potentially colors, price points, features, other things that we could add on or remove from the product idea to either reduce costs or find a demographic in a market that we think this product fits better with. So once you bring us that product idea, we're gonna have a few ideas in terms of who we think the actual consumer is of that product idea. So what we like to do when we have options are split testing different categories of the product in terms of use case, indoor, outdoor, male, female, all of the different use cases that we can come up with. So we always begin with creating assets, right? So product photography, different use cases for the product itself, and then creating a video around those assets as well.
Do you mind speaking any more about how the split testing would work? Is that just focus groups or?
So split testing is unique where we would build out the creative assets for it, right? So the product photography and potentially a quick video explaining it specifically for that use case. Let's say it's for finding jewelry on the floor that you lost, right? So we'll create, the UVPs, the unique value proposition of this product. Hey, it's great for if you have carpet and you lose stuff in the carpet or on your floor or wherever it may be. And then we send targeted traffic to it, right? So maybe it's going to potentially be a female buyer. Let's say it's in the United States within a certain age demographic. And we send that traffic to the landing page and we see what they do on the page. So we track, how far do they get down? Do they read the content? Do they watch the video? If so, how much of the video did they watch? And then it allows us to test price points. So maybe, initially we bring it to market and we think it's a $19.99 product, but people are converting higher at a $14.99 product price point. And we see what the delta is there between the two price points in terms of the amount of people that are willing to buy at $14.99. Might be worth it for us to launch at that because we'll reach a broader market than at the $19.99 point.
So when we met with Roy and he talked about bringing it to market, for me the takeaway was realizing how much data collection there is beforehand to have a quantitative way to really know where your market is.
So we split test all of those different things and then times that times all the different categories or niches that we can go under. So then we do it again for camping. We do it again for at-home repairs. We do it for plumbing. We do it for disaster. And then we set up segments for all of those different types of marketing initiatives, sending traffic typically through Facebook and Google to those pages, and we see what the conversion rates are between each one of them. Once we compile all of that data, we kind of analyze it and say, okay, this product is converting really well for this category. And this is usually then how we launch the product into the market, going specifically after that problem that this product is solving.
And Roy, this all happens, what you just said now, that all happens before the crowdfunding campaign.
Typically, yeah. So we want to find out what price works, what demographic it works for, what community it resonates with as well. And again, we're pre-selling a product that doesn't exist yet. So there's a lot of hurdles that we have to overcome in terms of educating our audience in terms of what is crowdfunding, why are you pre-purchasing this product. It's going to take us a few months to finish the development of it. Are you willing to go along for the ride and kind of see our journey that you're seeing here today?
A lot of these startup ideas are kind of thrown into Kickstarter or GoFundMe first. I look at a lot of Kickstarters all the time, so that was really cool to me, seeing that our product, the Flatlight, could be on Kickstarter someday, and watching people slowly back it and trying to figure out early bird pricing and stretch goals. That's a lot of stuff that I'm pretty familiar with.
Can you talk a little bit about the possibility of transitioning from, we have our crowdfunding campaign into a retail outlet or store or something like that?
What's wonderful about running a crowdfunding campaign is you're able to do all sorts of testing to find out who's your market, who's your community, what does your community look like, and what price point can you sell it at. And again, we're pre-selling a product, right? This isn't something that's going to come in 2 days, right? So this is something that the consumer is going to go along for the journey with your project updates of, hey, we just finished tweaking version 18 of this, we get a new strip, an LED thing, and we added this to it, and what have you, that the community gets to go along for the journey. But you're also building your crowd, your brand. You know, these are going to be your biggest brand evangelists should you deliver the product on time and as advertised, or if not better. These are going to be the people that want to tell your story about why they backed this product before you could see it on a retail shelf. And it also allows you guys to have a lot more leverage when it comes to trying to get it into retail. You can tell people, hey, we pre-sold 10,000 units in 30 days with our pre-sale campaign on Kickstarter. This product is ready to sell, and we haven't even made it yet. They've made a ton of progress from where they initially, launched it earlier this year to where it's at right now. And what I love about the product right now from a marketing standpoint is there's a lot of different things I can market.
It's an incredible amount of work that goes in before the campaign, before the crowdfunding campaign.
Absolutely.
It's a phenomenal amount of work that you guys do. Because I see so many people just launch without doing their homework, and they have some cheesy video and it fails and they wonder why.
Roy had a lot of good ideas about where to go next with this and what the next steps should be with the flat light.
It was a huge learning experience. The way that Roy approached it was sort of what I expected, but then the actual content of what he said, he had so much information about how it works with split testing and sort of focus groups and stuff about crowdsourcing that I just didn't know the behind the scenes of at all.
Hey guys, I wanted to introduce you to Adam from Wet and Forget.
Hey guys, how are you? It's great to see you again.
Adam's been a product rep for many years. He's brought a lot of products to market. He knows how to get them into stores and get them into the big box retailers, and he's an expert on what people want to buy and what they will buy.
Right.
And so for a little marketing advice, I thought we'd talk to Adam. He was at the event, so Adam, you saw the original prototype there.
I did see the original prototype, and this looks fantastic.
What do you think?
I think it looks better than, much better than it did, and much more refined than it was when we originally seen, which happens with most inventions. You start here and you end up here, and hopefully when you get here, it looks great, which this does. I love the package. I think the design of the canary, the yellow polish, I think it looks great. One of the things though with products like this is prevention. Sometimes prevention is the hardest thing to sell. Most homes today have built-in carbon monoxide detectors. They're required by most cities and villages. But that doesn't mean there's not opportunity. There's great opportunities with products like this outside of the normal channels you would think. You had mentioned camping, RVs, places like that, Airbnbs, where you may not know what's in that Airbnb to protect you while you sleep. So there's other opportunities outside of the normal channels of trade that you would think.
What would be a plan that you would suggest, maybe a marketing plan, how you would go about it?
The biggest thing with something like this, you have to let people know what it does. I'm a big proponent of naming your product what it does. Neat names are neat, but if the consumer has to think about that name, they're gonna walk right past that, go to something else that they understand.
So what you would you'd suggest maybe is changing the name from the Canary to something else, but still keeping the Canary look, because I think that design is integral to this product. It is the product,
fantastic. Really. I think the look is great. I think packaging-wise, you can do a lot of great things with it, but changing the name to tell people what it does is the most important thing you can do.
He said the Nary, it doesn't do it. You need to come up with a new name, which took, I think, most of us by surprise.
I'm open to changing the name. I mean, we came up with this idea in 48 hours, so nothing's permanent about it.
Well, I think he makes a good point on how it has to be like, almost give you the function right when you look at the packaging.
Okay, that's good advice, but it's ultimately up to you guys. I know sometimes how inventors are to get kind of hooked on a name or certain products and the way it's designed sometimes, so that change can be hard.
We were not too stuck on Nary. I think it's just fun. Whatever is easiest and best for a consumer to attach themselves to it, then I think that's the most successful way to name it.
But even more surprising to me was the fact that the students were very willing to do this. They didn't fight it, they didn't argue. Most people, most inventors
they'll fight tooth and nail for any little design change or something as big as a name change. It drives them crazy. That's going to be kind of tough with the, how do you make carbon monoxide into a catchy name? Yeah,
Right.
It doesn't rhyme with much.
Just tell people it's a portable carbon monoxide detector. Just keep it as simple as that. And if you build off of that, I think you'll have a little bit more success.
I guess thinking about the name, could it be something that alludes to like noise? Like, could we call it something like chirp alert or something like that? Or do you think really
So yeah, that
like
would
function like it is a carbon monoxide detector?
chirp alert carbon monoxide detector.
Okay.
There you go. You have a name.
And just people would just refer to it as chirp alert for short, maybe,
Exactly.
but that carbon monoxide detector is on there
Right.
so that they see what it's for.
Yeah.
But you need to educate your customer.
Absolutely.
So that's a little bit more of a challenge
Sure.
to teach them.
Yeah. But in today's world, it's much easier. You have this thing called the internet, this thing called Amazon. You have all these other opportunities to market your products to a select audience much cheaper than it was in the past, where you had to do an advertising campaign, where you had to go on TV, where you had to do these massive print campaigns in newspapers and magazines. You don't have to do that anymore.
What would be some of your packaging ideas on this then, Adam?
Well, initially with the whole canary in the coal mine, I would think that you'd build a box that looks like a coal mine, put the canary in the middle of it, call it
Chirp alert?
chirp alert, carbon monoxide detector. And I think that would really call it off the shelf. I love the yellow, obviously the color of a canary. That's going to stand out on the shelf. If you play off those two things, I think that could be a nice package.
The packaging will be a tough one to tackle, not necessarily tough, but fun to tackle all the problems, including the story and letting people know.
I think it's a great story. I think it's a big selling part of it that should certainly help the sales on.
And the canary in the coal mine story of coal miners using these birds to save them in the mines. I think that like connection to folklore almost in like a past and adding a history to it is a really big selling point. So I'm excited for that to be the motivating factor of this product.
One of the ways we were looking at this though, being the type of product it is most likely going to a licensing deal with one of the major manufacturers that's already in the business of manufacturing carbon monoxide detectors.
Right, I agree with that route. With this, to tool this product is going to be very expensive. To bring it to market with the component parts is going to be very expensive. And you need somebody that has the expertise in that market to help bring something like this to the market. So I believe there's 2 or 3 key carbon monoxide manufacturers in the States. And I think that would behoove you to reach out to them as well and get their thoughts. Tooling costs on this, manufacturing costs on this is going to be extremely, extremely high. And taking it to a company that already is in this category, that's already building products, is probably the best route for them.
In your opinion, is there any specific advice you have for moving forward with protecting the name and concept and brand?
You want to definitely protect yourself through the whole process. When you bring a product like this for a licensing agreement, you need to have all your ducks in a row. Non-disclosure agreement. There's certain things you may not want to tell them right off the bat until you move down the road a little bit further. But depending on where the product is at in the stage of development is going to be very important. If you have a working prototype, conceptually for them, it's a better opportunity than, as Rich would say, a napkin drawing. Okay, so whatever you do, protect yourselves along the way. You have to think about yourself, not necessarily about them. Before you go to any presentation, even myself, before I go to any presentation, you need to know the numbers. This is how big the market we think it's going to be. These are the markets we want to take it to. This is how we want to launch it to these markets. This is how much you think it's going to cost to take it to market. So you need to have all your ducks in a row, and you need to have every bit of information. You need to know more than they do. And that's something you need to learn. So when you go pitch a product, you have to be the expert. Don't let them be the expert.
And the farther along, even if you're not going to manufacture it, you're going to license it to a manufacturer, show them the packaging that you guys have talked about, that you've envisioned.
the coal mine, all of that. Make it, put the idea in their head so they can picture it on the shelf in one of the stores they put the products into.
A licensing deal will allow us to perfect the product in a way we couldn't achieve on our own. And it'll also give us the ability to focus on expanding the collection to other products that can work in conjunction with it. So I'm excited about the prospects of doing a licensing deal with a larger company.
After meeting with the students, the Make48 team gets together one final time to discuss the progress of the flat light, the slide and turn, and the Nary.
Rich, the Nary, what do you got?
Well, we have a nice, new, beautiful model here, which really came out nice. I really like the way it's smooth. This looks like it was injection molded. What I did, I started out, I went ahead and went to the hardware store, bought some carbon monoxide detectors off the shelf, the type that just go on the wall. And I tore them apart to see what was inside. Came up with some larger circuit boards, larger than would fit in here. And so I took those circuit boards, measured them up, went ahead and scaled to a new Nary, a bigger version. I scaled it up and took and hollowed it out, took the bottom out so we could fit the boards in. And they fit in and it all worked just fine, but now we were faced with a rather large bird. And honestly, that's not what the team was going for, and I don't think that would sell. I don't think anybody would be interested in setting a turkey next to the bed on a nightstand. So this is what it needs to be. It needs to be this size. So the next step was to talk to Digitron, and Digitron, that's what they do. They make these circuit boards, and I went out to Digitron, talked to them. Good news is it's very doable. You can shrink the carbon monoxide detector boards down and get something that would fit inside of here. I talked to Rick regarding batteries. We can get some lithium-ion batteries that'll work in here and even make the base a recharger, which would be really pretty cool and pretty slick. And the whole thing would work, but we're talking about maybe several months to a year's worth of engineering. Then after that, it has to go to testing because it is a life safety device.
The testing on these kind of products is very advanced. You're talking life and death products, carbon monoxide. They often have to test a product once it's final, thousands of times before it can get signed off.
It's a big challenge, a lot of money, a lot of time to bring this to market. So that's where we're at. What do you think, Tom?
So I spoke to one of the big players in the industry. The industry is not flush full of people doing this. Regulation's a big one.
Right.
There's often a lot of state testing, the R&D to get it right. And then once it's made, taking that product to market and finding out is there a market is going to be a challenge, right? One of the companies I spoke to said they didn't think the market was there for it after the fact. Maybe it's an RV market, maybe it's a camping market, but they didn't see people taking it to hotels and taking it as a portable device. There's other players in the game. I'm about to go take it to some others to see their thoughts and feedback, but that's where I'm at right now. Bob, slide and turn.
So we started out with the original prototype. It only fit one direction, one swing, one size jam. So the biggest challenge for us was to try to find it to fit a right side, a left side, in swing, out swing. So this is what we've come up with. Obviously, there's always more improvements as you go, but this actually works. And the schools, I think, is the market we want to target, not so much personal use, but actually in schools. We believe that it takes a professional to install it, just for liability reasons, because there's quite a bit of risk here. So we want to make sure that we take it to some school board members and get their feedback. That'd be the next step. God forbid if you really do have a school shooter incident and these kids go up to the door and try to use the slide and turn and they don't know how to use it. Creatively, we thought like the stoplights. We've all know the green light, yellow light, red light. So we tried to use and incorporate those colors. Basically what we've come up with is, so the green light would be, you just touch the green to the green, the yellow to the yellow, and then the red to the red. And then it's safe.
And it locks, huh?
Yeah.
That's pretty clever.
How many variations of door do you think there are? Combinations?
There's 6 to 7 jams widths.
Okay.
And we've got a solution for that as well. And then also this can be done on the other side as well.
Seeing the slide and turn and what Bob did and how he made it work with the help of Brian, it's different. But I think Bob mentioned there was 34, 35 different variations of doors and hinges and door jambs. So that product was really hard to get right.
So we've narrowed it down to practically one part, and could be easily manufactured as well. So that was encouraging. We're excited to see the next step with the schools.
Did you come up with the whole design by yourself? Or
No,
did the
it always takes a team. If you think you can do anything by yourself, you're crazy. But Brian helped me out a lot. He created the 3D CADs and printed it for me, and then we did a flat handle so you could even step on it. Machine Head, they bent this for us, and we found out there's machines now that bend the metal in seconds, so it can be easily produced.
So the manufacturing of the product's not going to be an issue?
No,
right?
No.
It's a matter of, do the schools allow it?
Right, again, that's our biggest concern.
Again, it's like the NERI, there's liability. You know?
Lots of liability.
You're talking with a dangerous scenario and kids and students, right?
So Make48's taken it to as far as we can. So our next step, we believe, is to take it to the school boards and ask them their feedback about what do we need to do to get it into the schools. Is there testing? What kind of testing? What is a good price point? That's our next goal.
Rich, the flat light, Stan? Yeah. What'd you guys do?
Well, the flat light, the original one that I talked about was shrinking it down from what the team had built, the two-lane team had built. And so I created this, drew this up, and
that's the whole thing?
That's the whole thing right there. So what that does, that shrunk it all down, lights up, hits the edge, no problem, and does exactly what we talked about doing.
Okay.
So in the process, I've been talking to Stan about it too. Stan had some ideas in a direction that he wanted to go.
And Stan, you're an expert in this field, right?
Yeah, well, I work with microscopes primarily, and LEDs in microscopes. So this kind of hit true with me, so I really saw the challenge. But with the original idea for the team that they wanted to take a flashlight and mount it on or stick it on something, but mirrors and such made it such a large thing. So I thought if I can condense it down to like what would be similar to a condenser in a microscope, or a dark field microscope, that with something this size, virtually any flashlight can just set on top of it and redirect it with internal reflection. So I got all these angles set up and a lens that's going all the way around to redirect the beam. So they can just set it down, turn on their light, and set it on.
Wow.
That's good. So there's no moving parts or electronics in that piece there, other than
the
flashlight.
Parts? How many parts?
Three at most. Yeah, wow. I think it can be done in 2 if you do it right. But
wow, great job.
Much less expensive, I'd say.
And do you think that the light directing here is going to be more powerful than doing the LED version?
Well, it depends on the flashlight. So this will work with virtually any flashlight set on it. So the more powerful flashlight, the more powerful the beam, and vice versa. So,
but cost is a lot less.
Yeah.
Rich, what did the team think when you showed them?
The team loved them both. And during that process, we were down there talking. We spoke with Roy, who had some really good ideas regarding marketing and bringing crowdfunding into this and everything. And through that process with the team and with Roy, we kind of come up with an idea to just combine the two. So we take the optics of this and put them into that, and we can really amplify out that LED light and make an even better product that's a combination of the two.
So we have 2 versions. Both have their pros and cons. And then there's a third option of combining them somehow. So we have the reflective qualities and then we have the light and internal lighting of the puck with the lensing gives us an actual third option. So that, I think, is going to increase the likelihood that someone is going to want to license this.
Although I do feel that standalone that Stan came up with should be looked at too as just a product by itself.
I agree, because everyone has flashlights and multiple of them, right? So you're not going to buy another one. And I'm sure we can get that mounted on the side of a toolbox or even in a car or whatever it may be.
Put a magnet in it, it'd be pretty simple.
Yeah,
it'd be pretty simple to do that.
So it could be a low-ticket item. It could be one of those items that you find at the cash registry.
The things I always buy.
The things you always buy, Bob. You got that.
I know.
So the summary here, we've got 3 very different products that all have their own challenges and possibly success. Obviously, this one is restricted because it's such a high level of market investment and R&D and engineering. This one and liability. This one we're held by liability, and can the schools even sell it, and would they? This one a lot simpler consumer product. But yeah, it just goes to show that it's always very different every situation.
Every journey is always a different path for every product.
Guys, thanks for the work you've done on this. I know you worked hard.
It was fun.
And all the other team members, you know.
That's what we do.
It takes a lot from go from ugly duckling prototype right through to getting ready before manufacture, so excellent job. Excellent job.
After months of hard work, the Make48 team has taken the flat light, the slide and turn, and the Nary as far as they can. Now they will shop these products around in hopes of securing a licensing deal with a larger company that has the resources to be successful. Only time will tell if these products make it to a store shelf. Make48 is funded by
Stanley Black & Decker provides tools and services around the globe to help turn great ideas into reality and to help us shape the world we live in. We proudly support programming that inspires invention, innovation, and hard work. Together with Make48, we're providing men and women the tools and resources to build a better world. Stanley Black & Decker, for those who make the world.
To learn more about the invention process and to get to know the teams, visit Make48.com.